Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Work With Me stream. I'm your host, Chris, the DeFi professor. Hopefully, had a great weekend. So today, on today's show, we're going to go through a little bit of where the market is, and we'll go through all the news as I work to put together my little weekly newsletter that all of our Beacon Mastermind members get at my education onboarding company, Beacon DeFi. So let's kind of look at where we're at. It's kind of, I want to say it was a fairly uneventful weekend would be the word I would use outside of the market looking like it was getting ready to reload. And, a lot of long-term people are kind of worried, uh, which I don't think is true. Was there a lot of forced selling going on? Yeah, I think so. But institutions are loving being able to purchase Bitcoin and various alts at these levels. I mean, let's say that you're DFDV. How could you not want to buy Sol at $87, right? As opposed to $250. So let's get over to the markets. All right, so what we're looking at right now is here on CoinMarketCap. Again, if you want to follow me on CoinMarketCap, I'm available there at the DeFi Professor. Actually, I'm hoping that if anybody could follow me on Rumble, I need 5 followers in order to stream on Rumble. So please do the thing and go check that out. Would appreciate the support. We are broadcasting on 8 different platforms. So thanks to everybody who supports my work and my creation stuff. I'm getting ready to head out to East Denver. So if you'll be in East Denver for Denver for East Denver, let me know. Would love to hang out with you there. You're welcome to ask me questions. I'll give you free consultations on your portfolios and stuff like that. If you just want to pick my brain or just buy me a coffee or something like that, that would be fantastic. With that said, so you can see the market has been hovering around. We've been ranging at around this 70K range. I know we went a little bit higher in the morning and we're just kind of where we've been. ETH continuing to stick around at 2100. Hopefully we can continue to see some positive movement here. We won't know more, in my personal opinion, until tomorrow. There's another meeting between President Trump's envoy and more individual banks. The meeting that happened last Monday was between Patrick Witt, which is the deputy crypto watchdog, I suppose, for President Trump on the Crypto Council, SEC, CFTC, like the community bank organization, like the overall association, multiple crypto companies, multiple fintech companies, and then of course the big 5 that are part of crypto that also have a banking license. That's probably the other thing that we should probably talk about. It probably will show up here when I look at the news articles, is the idea that there are multiple. Well, the FDIC just came out and just said, or the CFTC? The CFTC just came out and said stablecoin issuers have to be licensed banks. I think that was a given to a degree, but they've made this, specific that you have to be holding an actual bank and trust license to issue stablecoins. So that is good for the banks. But guess what? Coinbase, Circle, Paxos, PayPal, Ripple, and a couple others have Truth Social, right? They've all applied for bank and trust licenses. Crypto.com could be on that list because if I'm not mistaken, Metropolitan Bank, which went under last weekend, was the bank for Crypto.com. So I don't know if they're working to figure that part out, but I would not be shocked if you see Crypto.com come through and file for a bank and trust license with the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, sometime soon. And if that happens, they have a fairly easy way to do so, thanks to a couple of companies in the Trump sphere that could help underwrite that deal, which you'll most likely see because they are working hand in hand with the president and his teams. All right, let's go check out the articles, shall we? Well, all right. There we go. Should be able to see this. I did blow it up quite a bit. I did change the way I'm doing this. I was using Sigma OS, which is a really great browser on Mac OS. For me, like the last 3 months has been trying to figure out what's the lightest load with me to do research. Because as you guys know, I do a ton of research every week. And having multiple browsers open, like I have Safari, Chrome, Brave, Sigma OS, Arc. I even have Perplexity, Comet. What else do I have? I have Orion. These are all different browsers that I've had. Well, based on my experience in terms of memory, because I am running an M1 Max with 32 gigs of RAM, but I do have a fairly small hard drive. I think it's 1 terabyte, but it's mostly taken up. So I am always looking for a good overhead to keep that running smoothly. I am also working on AI agents to help me with this, by the way. Um, I've been really cracking on the not necessarily OpenClaw, but I'm using Nanobot and PicoBot. Pico, I think it's Pico Claw, one of the two. Anyway, working on a couple of different, because I have 6 or 7 different smaller things like Raspberry Pis. I have um, a variety of things. Not that OpenClaw isn't great. To me, it's just bloated, which is fine because there are a lot of people who want that out of the box functionality, whereas I'm fairly pick and choosy about what I want my bot to really take advantage of, mainly because I'm looking to do that whole mission control style thing where I have one bot that's kind of like the brain, and then you can use sub agents to do different things. So I can tell you just from my experience, I like Nanobot. Nanobot's great. I'm going to look into PicoBot or PicoClaw, whichever it's called, sometime later. I just heard about that today. It can run on I even have the ESP32 board for an Arduino. You can do that because one of the versions of Pico um, can run on those types of boards. And it's written in C, which is fantastic. Whereas OpenClaw has like 400,000 lines of code. It's written in TypeScript mainly, which is great because type safety is good. That these are things that you want, and that this is me with my professor hat on as a professor, a university level professor in software engineering. But there's something about the simplicity about using leaner languages. For example, Nanobot uses Python. It doesn't quite have all of the goodies that you get with a traditional OpenClaw distribution, which to me is fine. It has the basics, which means it can connect to Telegram or WhatsApp or I believe Faceshoe. I've never used Faceshoe. That's a Chinese product, but Signal is one that OpenClaw does, but I think could be something that works well with Nanobot in the future. And you can run your own LLMs, or you can utilize OpenRouter and whatever they have there. That's all that you really need. I would recommend, if you're going to try this as well, the one thing that probably is not said that you should probably do is get a search API key. You can get that through Brave. Brave browser has a Brave API search that your agent can use. There will be new things moving forward that people are going to build as time goes on, because so much of this agentic economy is about making things that work for agents and not for people, which I think is fascinating. For example, there's a new agent mail protocol that doesn't use SMTP anymore. It just uses traditional APIs to move back and forth, because agents are not people, so they don't necessarily need UX. They don't need a user interface to actually go in and have a good user experience. They just need the data, which is awesome about agent mail. So again, we're not going to run too much into that, but ultimately for me, trying to find ways to make it so, if I can have a good army of agents doing the majority of my research, much like I'm doing here, I mean, that saves me 45 hours a week, guys. That's much more things I can use to build apps, to be coding, doing all kinds of things. I'd rather more content for what I want to do. These are all huge pluses. So shout out to Peter Steinberg for creating this craze with OpenClaw. There's a huge just craze overall, even in the trenches with all of these bots. So we'll see exactly how this all rolls out. I know for most of these projects, people have actually gone and done CTOs for the projects. Like for example, for Nanobot, there's a coin on Bags as well as on Banker, Clanker technically, for the project the owner, who I believe is a student at a university in Hong Kong, won't touch it, which I think is fascinating because this is like $25,000 almost now in terms of fees that have been traded on these that he can actually use. I mean, and it's his just a claim. Whether or not he wants to, claim any part of the token, that's one thing. Obviously, there's like a slippery slope on that. But overall, uh, it's kind of interesting to see people actually support projects like this. Uh, and that's kind of what made the original era of Pump.Fun with live stream creators fairly special, because you had the gentleman who had cancer, right? And they raised like 32K in fees so he could actually pay his cancer bills, which, first off, crazy that it even cost that much. And how do most people in this world afford the health care that comes with a lot of these terrible diseases that we're seeing? It's almost impossible. So anyway, I could just blab on that forever. Let's talk about the news. So, other big news here that, and again, it's a little polarizing, and I don't see it here specifically yet, but there's a lot of connections being made between Jeffrey Epstein and the original team that developed Bitcoin. Man, it's tough, right? Because it creates an optics problem. And I don't know how this is going to roll, honestly. Could this be something that just breaks Bitcoin's momentum if the right people get loud enough? Yeah, I think it could keep people from coming in, possibly. That might be the issue. It doesn't change Bitcoin at all, because Bitcoin's a $21 million token project with fixed supply, with a vesting schedule and a reward schedule that's going to continue regardless of what happens from a morality or optics standpoint, right? That's kind of the nature of money. You can make the argument that all money is dirty, right? That's why people, look at things like blood diamonds. If you want to call it blood gold and stuff like that. I mean, the value of tender has been tainted by blood and terrible things in its entire existence. That's why a lot of people hate money, but you kind of need money. I don't have a take on this. I'm not trying to give you a take on this, but that could be, it could be an interesting factor, let's call it that, into where this market goes from here. But I guess we'll see. It's fascinating, if anything. Morgan Stanley begins Bitcoin miner coverage. Interesting. That's not new. We've already talked about that. No shock that Bitminer Merchant bought more ETH. MicroStrategy also bought more ETH. Not shocking there. And we've talked about this continuously for the last couple of months. Can all of this integration and all of this innovation that's happening, with all of the institutions moving into DeFi, happen with Bitcoin at 65K? The answer is clearly yes, and it's going to continue to happen. We're just going to get, at this point, institutions are going to come in with a supreme discount on Bitcoin, right? It's almost like a gift from the gods, if you want to call it that. That Now that Bank of America and J.P. Morgan and Morgan Stanley are all offering, their private investors on their, in their up to 4% in terms of Bitcoin and Ethereum. How could they not want to buy at these prices, right? Could you even make the argument that it was planned this way? Ultimately, and this is something we've talked about a lot in our group, aggressive DCAing is something you should be considering in terms of how to weather the crypto storm. If you bought Bitcoin at 16K, if you bought ETH at 950, why would you not buy here? Right? The whole point of dollar cost averaging is that you don't care what the price is. It is, if you have high conviction in an asset, you're going to buy it regularly regardless of the price. Hasn't stopped my DCA. But I did see that Google searches for Bitcoin exploding went up through the roof. What's crazy is that in this world, can you plausibly identify that possibly these AI agents are interfering with this? I don't know. I'm not going to try and create a lot of specific FUD about such things. Okay. Binance adds 300 million to the Seifu reserve during the market dip. Say what you will about the company, about what Richard Teng and them are doing. And again, I have to, regardless of what you think, CZ is not necessarily running that company. So people are like, oh, thanks CZ for, yes, CZ runs a very high profile VC lab, which is Easy Labs, YZI. But he's not the chairman or CEO of Binance anymore. He hasn't been for 3 years now. So stop with the FUD on that. You can certainly go yell at Richard Teng about that if you don't love what they're doing. They're kind of doing what's going to be good for business for them. Keep that in mind. That's why DeFi is so powerful, because there's no one entity that owns DeFi. It's there for having a free market and having the market, for the most part, create its identity. Now, can that be modified through plutocratic methods? Yes, of course. If anything, it's very much a plutocracy down in DeFi, because it's about who owns the most tokens. But to take away from that and say that nobody has a voice would be a little unfair, in my opinion, because you do have a voice. You just have to figure out how to tell the people who own the most tokens to vote with you. There's that. All right, so if anybody saw the Super Bowl last night, did anybody actually go and buy a handle at AI.com? Because you literally just bought a handle with a credit card payment for nothing. I mean, I'm not going to say nothing. You got the handle, right? I don't know how much it cost. I didn't try. I just saw. They're like, okay, pay for it. I'm like, pay? What? I don't get to just go and check it out? I mean, I guess that keeps people from bots from going and reserving dozens at a time. But it's just like, do you care about AI.com handles? Do we want that? But the founder of Crypto.com went and did it. Apparently, 8 million went to the Super Bowl. 70 million went to the domain. So on Twitter, I laughed. I was like, oh, okay, well. Congrats to whoever was squatting on that. I'm not going to talk about OpenClaw here. Just be careful if you're going to be doing this, and we've talked about this within our community quite a bit. I've seen a lot of people post the same post just tweaked a little bit about using their OpenClaw agents to arb trades on Polymarket and Kalshi, making so much money, right? But let me just put it this way. Someone goes and they make a ton of money with a bot. And then they release that bot, or they release the strategy for free. What should that mean to you? In your heart of hearts, tell me what that should mean to you. Hi, Biffy. I'll follow you back. Sure. Saying what's up to everybody on the arena. Feel free to follow me there. It just means that if you're going to follow that, are you going to make money? Maybe. You might get lucky enough. But you're walking into a situation where you are exit liquidity for someone else, right? Because if somebody has something that's working, they're not going to tell anybody, right? You know, the whole, I saw this wallet on 4chan, then it got deleted. Yeah, sure. I'm sure it did. But it's like 100% win rate, 97% win rate. Turned $100 into $1,500 or $15,000 or something like that. Of course everyone's going to go after that. And by the time you read it on Twitter, you're way too late. And that's crazy because Twitter is the fastest thing you can find. Well, outside of like Telegram and Discord, right? So by the time you get there, not only you're way late, you're exit liquidity for someone else. So just be careful. That's all I'm saying. If you hear about stuff like that, why does this keep coming over here? You just got to be careful. Have skepticism. Don't trust, verify, as I have on my wall over here that you can't see anymore. China replaces crypto ban with stricter regime, carves out narrow path for state-controlled real-world assets. That's interesting. This is actually quite important. Because this means that crypto is now legal in China. Overall. Oh, long-standing opposition to permissionless. Yes, of course. Except for like the Hong Kong stuff, right? Like if you're on Conflux, which is the Chinese Ethereum, that's fine. Because it's state-run, right? Yeah. I guess it is what it is. I mean, if you think about it, they've been around for 17 gazillion years. Do they know better than these other countries who've only been around for a fraction of that time? Here we go. We talked about this on Friday and Wednesday with regards to Tether. Their gold stash is now 23 billion. That's ridiculous. The amount of profit they're pulling in, plus they've tokenized all their gold, is nutty at Tether. Ah, okay. Mega ETH launched today. That's probably the biggest news of today. Yeah. We'll see. 10,000 TPS or transactions per second. We'll see. Need some builders to get on there and start building some cool things and make it worth going there. Because right now, there's just not a ton on there. Yet. I mean, look at what happened with Monad. There's things on Monad. They're still building things on Monad. It's just not got the, I think, the traction that it needed. And you can say this about any Alt L1, right? And I'm not saying just Avalanche or Say or, you know, the upcoming Tempo or Arc. which will have large splashes. Even Plasma as an L1 also had a really good splash. Um, Out of all those, I'd have to say maybe besides, I mean, Monad's okay. It's not in a situation where it's dominating anything. Plasma's not doing too bad, all things considered. Plasma's not a bad blockchain. It's cheap, it's fast, it's ridiculously fast and cheap. And, you know, it's centered around USDT. I mean, they clearly are going after Tron. So we'll see exactly how all of this starts to, you know, to make way. But ENS abandons plans for the name chain layer 2, citing Ethereum scaling. So pretty much after Vitalik comes out late last week on Wednesday and pretty much just poo-poos on L2 saying that they're useless and wants to scale DeFi L1, which is a complete change from where we were at with the roadmap. I mean, it's a huge talking point. I'm not going to exhaust that here. What I will say is this doesn't change anything for the L2 ecosystems that have been built, like Arbitrum Orbit stack, or Optimism's Bedrock OP stack, which, you know, Base is built off of, Kraken, Sonium. I could keep naming a ton of chains. But if the idea that Vitalik had by saying that they want to scale DeFi L1 because L2 scaling has been too slow and is now not worth it because they've kind of changed their identity, and he wanted discussion about it, he got his wish because there's a lot of people talking about it. I don't think it changes anything. In fact, if it wasn't for that plan, I don't think the power of some of these interop groups like Layer 0, even Light.fi, or Across, they don't have a profitable business model, because now we're seeing cross ecosystem stuff everywhere. Polygon Ag Layer, also fantastic through layer 2s. They're calling themselves now the #1 side chain, which is hilarious. But yeah, we're going to see more of this, I think. Although I still think we move to app chains to a degree, right? Because at some point the cream rises to the top, the culling happens, teams run out of runway if they can't get enough traction quickly enough, and then we move towards this DeFi scaling, but with app chains, so everything is abstracted from the user. I still think we have plenty of L2s. You need them, honestly, because unless L1 Ethereum undergoes a facelift and becomes Mega ETH out of nowhere, Swift isn't going to be down with that, right? It needs fast architecture, which it does not have currently, and the model probably needs to improve. Now, with PeerDAS and stuff like that, and ZKs and stuff like that, that changes things. But clearly, the plan he had to scale this clearly was a lot faster than he was expecting, much faster than what we're actually getting in reality. So that's why I think he's made this move. He wants to get there quicker to accelerate DeFi adoption through Ethereum L1. And rightly so, through Circle coming out with their own layer 1 called Arc, Stripe coming out with their own layer 1 called Tempo. You have Mega ETH, which Vitalik invested in, and some of these others. We're going to see some Ethereum acceleration, the different type of E/ACC than what we were looking at previously. So, yep, we'll see how this moves. Oh my God, did you guys hear about this? This is crazy. So this is Bithum, I don't know how you want to pronounce that, but the person who did this, I don't know if they're like a hero. I don't know if they have like been villainized in culture. Essentially, they were supposed to hand out 2,000 Korean won to specific people. They instead hit the wrong button, and it was 2,000 BTC. I don't know. I don't know what you do here. Clearly, there's no way that Bithum can cover that, right? because they can't just make Bitcoin appear out of thin air. This is not the US dollar. Don't come after me, big brother. You listening to me? Don't come after me. You can't just print Bitcoin. But it caused Bitcoin prices on Bythumb to just plummet because everyone just started selling, right? Wouldn't you? If you accidentally got now, and be honest here, if someone sent you 2,000 Bitcoin, what's the first thing you're doing? Are you heading for the exits? And if you see that happening, are you arbing that? Are you going and buying Bitcoin at a much cheaper rate on that exchange than you would anywhere else? The answer is yes on both for most people, right? I don't even know what to say about this. I think it's fascinating. We'll see how this regulator said the incident exposed the vulnerabilities and risks of virtual assets. I just want to know what happened to the person who pressed the button. You know, I definitely feel sympathy for them, right? This is why we say don't trust verify. But even in that case, it's like, what do you do? I mean, clearly you've lost your job at this point, but it's like you can't put that person on the hook for $44 billion. I mean, you could, but yikes. So what do we do now with that? I mean, you don't, but will you stop doing that? My gosh. I did see this commercial. I watched the Super Bowl. I wasn't planning on it, but I did because my girls wanted to see some of the ads. There's a specific ad they were looking for. They got it. It was literally a half second. They're excited. They're fans of the K-pop girl group Cat's Eye, the global group from Hybe and Geffen. But to see Coinbase light up everything, even the Las Vegas Sphere, with a "I Want It That Way" karaoke ad. I mean, congrats to the team. They got people talking. Hmm. Interesting. Scott Besant suggests Warsh nominated hearings alongside a probe. Who is Tom Tillis? Interesting. Tom Tillis. Look at Tom Tillis putting on the big boy pants. He wants to delay confirmation of the next Fed chair until the Department of Justice probe into Powell is resolved because he believes that Kevin Warsh is an extreme candidate. Interesting. Do we really? I mean, this is like top level bureaucracy. This is how bureaucracy happens, right? Oh. Oh. Interesting. Let me grab that. It's crazy how Japan is at the center of all of this, of just so many things, right? And also, if anyone's in Hong Kong, that happens today. It's happening. Well, I guess in 5 hours. But congrats to everybody who's well, hello to everybody who's out in Hong Kong. I am not one of those people, but maybe one day. Hmm. Oh wow, huge tax cuts. Okay. Trump is eyeing 100,000 on the index. That would be interesting. Really? Only 10K Bitcoin is a quantum risk, and I'm guessing because of where it was minted, or how it was minted, worth attacking. With CoinShares claiming it could take a millennium to compromise each one. I mean, I don't know if that's true. That's interesting. Out of 21 million, 10,000. Oh, obviously there's not 21 million in circulation, but out of what's in circulation, a mere 10,000 could be hit. But it's going to take a lot of work to get there. Interesting. Yeah, this is way old for half of these UTXO wallets. Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. Oh, I love the internet. Is there really there is a market. I know this is true now. Yeah. The odds of Jesus Christ appearing in 2026 double, beating the return on Bitcoin. What a great statement. Oh, love it. I'm just going to grab that just so I have it later on for Wednesday's podcast, which you should check out, of course. Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern for our Total Value Lock podcast, where we go through the news of the week. Giannis Antetokounmpo becomes a shareholder in Kalshi. How much did he pay for that? Very interesting. Wow, Bukele has a 91. All right. Does anyone believe that? I don't know. Who's the 1.8? He's like, find the 1.8. He's having a true like Aladdin moment. That's hilarious. I love it. Love it. And this is what I was talking about earlier. So the payment has to include national trust mix. So obviously, all of the crypto companies who have applied for bank licenses could definitely see this in the tea leaves. This is not new news, right? There's a reason why they all went and got bank trust licenses because of something like this. I mean, that should be very apparent. This should not be shocking to anybody. Oh wow, they they recovered almost 100% of the. Oh, y'all are so nice. Oh no no no. That's how they did it. Oh, that's gross. Oh no, this is not gonna end well. Oh wow, Charles lost 3 billy. Difficulty bombs, 11% drop. Interesting. All right. Like I said, there wasn't a ton to really talk about. Uh, there just really wasn't a ton that happened over the weekend, right? Last week we had, Cat Lumpur. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in the Solana ecosystem that kind of went crazy. But nothing here that's just like, wow, we really should talk about that. Hmm. Hmm. And one thing that's not in here is that there's a possibility that Polymarket IPO is valued at 12 billion, which if you haven't been trading, probably should consider. Yep. This is not based on what Vitalik said. This is a pretty good take by David here. This is what he wants. He wants zero knowledge proofs, because that'll get rid of the entire optimistic rollup system. This will bring more decentralization because third-party provers will continue to gain in popularity. Groups like Succinct and others like them. Ooh, top airdrop hunts on Mega ETH. Go to Bankless to check that out. That'll be interesting. All right, let's move on to Google. If I just click on crypto. Nothing here that we haven't already talked about in the past. Okay, Backpack has put in this. Came out in Twitter as well to prevent dumping on retail. And it's all just gonna be with points. 25% of the native token supply will be unlocked and distributed during the TGE. So if you have Backpack points for using the exchange, using the wallet. I do use Backpack as a secondary wallet. Phantom is still the primary on Solana. But check that out if you're using Backpack at all. Crypto payrolls. Groups like Opolis do things like this, and it's good. Yep, there's that piece I talked about in the beginning. Also, I just saw that, I don't know if it's true, but apparently Epstein used World of Warcraft gold to move money around, which, interestingly enough, Steve Bannon had a company that he ran that did World of Warcraft gold. We'll see how it all just kind of ties together. So are we in winter right now? I don't know, honestly. I mean, from a structural standpoint, yes. But it all depends on what this man wants to do here to keep that from being prolonged, right? Because every time we take a step forward, he'll say or do something that causes people to question and then move backwards. Um, the Clarity Act, I think, is going to be a key to a lot of this. Clarity Act for sure. Where Japan moves from here, also going to be something that's going to be interesting. And, well, figure HELOC becomes the 10th biggest crypto. By market cap. Yeah. 15 billion. That's kind of crazy. So if you go to like I think it's Prometheus. I think is the name of the protocol, or that might be the bank. I'm not sure. You have the ability to go and apply for a home equity line of credit at Figure. If you're curious about checking out the tech, they just have tranches of HELOCs that are available for people to use as tokenized collateral on chain, which I think is fantastic. Um, there's a coin on Camino called Prime, which is I think it's pretty well tied to this, that you can use specifically on Solana through Camino I think you're in like 6 to 8%, which fantastic, right? For rate of return. I don't think we have anything else here. Let's check out Llama Feed real quick, and then we're pretty much done. I mean, this is just more of a but Dan Romero and Varun and a couple others who were with Farcaster are now part of Stripe's Tempo chain. Let's see how that goes. Congrats to them. U.S. government isn't poised to... Oh, yeah, I heard about this, too. Yeah, they're not going to buy Bitcoin. Yeah, because Kramer says the feds will start filling it when Bitcoin hits 60K. No, they're not buying Bitcoin, guys. It's no different than, with... it's very similar to the Bitcoin reserve in Arizona. It's only from, like, seized assets and stuff like that. I have not heard from anyone in my networks that they are willing to buy Bitcoin. Now, World Liberty Financial has bought a ton of Bitcoin, but that's not the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Let's see. And really not a ton else to really talk about. So that's the unfortunate part. There just isn't a huge amount of news. Fairly slow news week, which I guess is good. It just means that there just needs to be more meaningful discussions about what happens next. And what people should do with regards to how things are moving. Tether froze $500 million in crypto. They can do that, by the way. Centralized stablecoin, Circle and Tether have the ability to freeze assets by address. I mean, if you're a Solana Datco like Forward Industries is, why aren't you just buying a supreme amount of Solana at $80? All right, well, let's just end with this. ETH Denver is on 17th of February this year. It's earlier than it normally is. Normally, the ETH Denver is the last week in February. It is the largest ETH conference in the world. However, what I will say is that it's going to be smaller this year. And it's been getting smaller. 2023 was peak, and then it's been getting smaller ever since. Um, there are plenty of side events, not nearly as many as there were last year. What I do wish is that they still had the sleeping area, because I thought about it. I was like, you know what, this year I'm gonna try the lodging where it's like $75 a night and you sleep on a gigantic beanbag, and they have like they had everything there. They had showers, and they had those nice trailer, like the actual like trailer type bathrooms that you see, like Very Glorious has showers, and yeah, they're quite nice. Uh, but it looks like they're not doing that this year. But they seem to have a lot of things going on here. I'm actually very interested to see what happens here. I'm excited actually because this is a much different setup for them. Anyone who's going to be in the Spork Whale Lounge, let me know. I don't know when I'll be there, but I will be there. Longtime Spork Whale and Buffacorn NFT holder. Shout out to all my Buffacorn Brigade people. Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this all works out. Opening ceremony. I'm hoping to get there the day before, but I may not be able to. It just depends. Got some things happening here locally with me and the family, so I may not be able to make it out until late on February 18th, which is the Wednesday, um, and then I have to be back either by Saturday. I think by Saturday the 21st. So I will most likely miss the closing ceremony. But there's going to be a lot of probably a lot of good side events, a lot of good networking opportunities. That's the main reason you go to Denver, is that you just want to see what everybody's doing, but it's also a great place to network. Oh, this looks much better than what used to be there. Still the same area, but just not using the rodeo area anymore, so it doesn't smell like manure during the hackathon. Oh, there's shuttles. And public transit. Oh, well shit, that's great. Tell me more. Actually, I'll just go to the Discord and find out. Yeah, they don't have a place where people sleep anymore. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, we got a lot of great people speaking. Got Crypto Mommy, Mommy Crypto. Oh, you got Patrick Witt, fresh off those talks. He's going to be there. Uh, well, Nader doesn't work at Eigen anymore. Bo Hines, head of USAT, Tether's American stablecoin. Oh, David Phelps will be there. Good to see. I'd like to talk to him for a second. Joe Lubin will be there. That'll be good. I'll be very interested to see what Zuko Wilcox says after everything that happened with Zcash. Oh, Griff will be there. Good to see Griff. Jacqueline Melinek will be there. Oh, Hasib will be there from Dragonfly. Just thinking if there's anybody here that I'm just like, oh yeah, good to see them on there. I mean, all these people will be great. Oh, Evan will be there. Probably just talking on one of the stages. Yeah, they've got a lot of people talking. I like the fact that it's going to be smaller this year. This means that there should be probably just some overall, just some better concentration of events. Not that it was bad previously, but it was just so big. You had like two large buildings, one stadium just like the Zen area, and then the other for the actual main event. And in 2023, it took up all 3 floors of that area. It was crazy. And you still had all the podcast stuff and everything. It was gigantic. Last year was not bad. Uh, Definitely smaller, but you still had 15 to 17,000 people who showed up. So that was the main thing. I'm excited. Let me know if you're going to be there. Would love to catch up. And then that's just can't talk. That's it, guys. That's all that we got today. Thanks for working with me. Got a couple more things to get into, but we'll talk to you soon. And yeah, we'll be back Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, for my education company, Beacon DeFi. We have our Total Value Locked podcast, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll have Ken from Taoshi definitely on panel. Hopefully we get Robert back also as well. But we'll see what happens. And if we get more people, we get more people. That'd be awesome. And yeah, I might have a stream tomorrow. It just depends. There'll be a little bit of a surprise. But we'll see how that goes. That said, take care, guys. See you later. Stay safe.